Welcome back to another episode of With a Grain of Salt. I'm your host, Isaiah Salter,
I'm Tom Andino.
and we appreciate you tuning in yet again for another week. Tom, take it away.
Another week.
Another week, come on.
My gosh. Wow. Yesterday, the family and I went back down to Hershey.
Okay.
I was so inspired by my friend's trip that we took, my friend and I.
Yeah.
We drove down just for the day
Mm-hmm.
to go to, we did the chocolate tour and the Milton Hershey tour, and we went to a new restaurant, new restaurant to me called the Chocolatier.
Wow.
And my wife and I had this burger with bacon, but it wasn't bacon, it was like pork belly with these chocolate chips, or like potato chips drizzled in chocolate.
That sounds like a heart attack.
It was delicious. It was not greasy at all.
Really?
No, like
they
I thought
perfected it.
like this was legit. Like this was a good burger. Now, the heart attack came when I got dessert. I got a Reese's milkshake. I have a picture.
I'll see it after.
Just joy on my face. It's just giant milkshake with peanut butter chips all around the outside, a chocolate dipped pretzel with Reese's pieces on it,
Mm-hmm.
and on top of the milkshake was a slice of peanut butter pie.
Yo, what is going on?
And
Where's
I
this
was
at?
like, down in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's where it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got
Okay.
my picture with all the characters.
Okay.
I was like a little kid.
Yeah.
It just brings out the joy in me.
Yeah.
I think it's good for him to come out and play every once in a while. So, yeah, let your little kid out sometimes.
Your inner child.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a real thing. My parents went to go see Inside Out 2 last night, so
Oh, nice.
I have to talk to my mom and my stepdad later, and I'll see how they enjoyed it. But my mom was really excited, and she saw the episode where we talked a lot about it, and so that made her want to go see it too.
Smashing so many records at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I want to get into that a little bit.
Let's do it.
You want to do it now?
Yeah.
All right,
let's
start.
Let's jump.
I came across this earlier in the week. 5 lessons we can learn from Inside Out 2. So I thought we could take each one and talk about it. Number one, this is by, I hope I pronounce this right. It's Nawal Mustafa.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, the company you keep matters. When you're with the right people, you can truly be yourself and feel safe. There's no need to shrink or put up a facade. These connections build your self-esteem and improve your life. Conversely, when you're around people with whom you have to be cautious about what you say or do, it can worsen anxiety and lead to feelings of isolation. Constantly having to filter yourself can be exhausting and prevent you from forming genuine connections.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
That's real. We can go one by one. Like, we'll do that throughout the episode. But
Yeah.
that is really good. I think we've always talked about it, the importance of being around the right people.
Yep.
But it said something there where if you're around the wrong people, that's where a sense of loneliness can come from. Because I think a lot of people think that loneliness is just you're not around anybody, you're by yourself. Sometimes you feel the most lonely when you're around a lot of people, but there's no connection there. Like, you don't relate to anybody. Like, you just feel like a I don't know, like a monkey in a pond or something like that. You know, you're not where you're supposed to be, and that can bring that sense of loneliness because you don't know what to do. You don't know how to navigate that. And I've experienced that. Like, when I came out the hospital the first time and I had to go back into those environments, it was when I was around people. That's where I felt the most lonely. I was like, nah, bro, this ain't it. Like, I don't have no connection with nobody. People obviously looking at me a different way. I got the stigma. I don't even know who I am. I can't go back to, I tried to go back to acting like everything was normal, and the character I was playing up until that point didn't work.
Sure.
And I was just like, yo, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just incredibly lonely.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that can be really scary for people to have to deal with. And I think the toughest part is the way you cope with it, right? The way you cope with it. Because a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll just neglect the feelings and just keep on trying to conform to the group and be around people and force themselves to do certain things or interact with certain people that they genuinely just don't feel right around.
Right.
Instead of being like, listen, maybe this just isn't the crowd for me. Or this is a sign I need to take time for myself.
Yep.
You know, because if you're feeling more lonely around people, maybe that's a sign that maybe you need to be alone.
Right.
You know, so.
I saw that so often in college, and the research when I was in school, the answer to everything seemed to be, let's have programming from the adults that work at higher ed. Like, let's have programming. And in the old days, that worked. You went to a program because you felt like you belonged,
Yep.
because the topic may interest you, or it was mandatory, right? And so many people would go to these programs, and that was a way to meet people and to fit in. And now, at least what I experienced was students would go to programs and feel like they shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
They felt alone. They didn't feel like they belonged. And so my question is, well, why did you go?
Mm.
They went in hopes to find that, but to me that just screams like we're not looking for programming, we're looking for people.
Come on.
And that the young people today want people to be their programming. And sometimes I don't know, people just, they don't get it.
Yeah.
They think we need to have giveaways and t-shirts and gimmicky stuff when they're really not looking for small talk. And they want deep connection.
That's really good. That brings up the point. I've always felt this way, like the idea of mental health awareness. Like, I was cool with it until I actually went through some real mental health stuff. And then I was like, oh, y'all not really like creating things that actually help us. Y'all are just spreading awareness, putting on t-shirts, little group sessions and stuff. But I'm like, no, there's really kids struggling out here. Like, in this, from experience, wasn't helping.
Right.
I was like, yeah, y'all putting on a t-shirt isn't really helping me with my anxiety and my depression and my feeling of like feeling lost and don't know who I am. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I need something that's real, and I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's just about really like you said, not just throwing stuff at people and being surface level. You really got to get deep, and that's what people are really searching for, is real connection.
Mm-hmm.
Real connection. No matter what field or arena or avenue you're in, you're looking for genuine connection.
Right. So often, I think in different circles, I use the phrase like I have to be on.
Mm.
Right. In different contexts, what that means changes over time. I always felt that when the girls were little, trying to, it's being hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
A silly example is when you go out with somebody. I think one of the worst things to do is to go out with somebody that you're just getting to know, go out for pizza. Because you do that awkward dance, like, well, what do you want on it? Well, I'll eat anything. Well, what do you want? Well, I really want to say I want X, Y, Z, but I don't know if you're okay with that, so I don't say it, and you don't say it, or people say, well, I'll eat anything other than anchovies.
Yeah.
But in your heart, you're like, I hope he orders a meat pizza, not veggie, like, or whatever the thing is, right? We do that dance. I'm like, there are some people that you can. I always say this: there are some people that you can eat with,
Mm-hmm.
and some people that you can eat with.
Mm.
Like, I have a friend, Joe, when we went out, the very first time we went to this great restaurant. I'd never been there. So I'm like, order whatever's good for us. And he's like, do you like oysters? I'm like, yeah, I never order seafood because my wife and kids don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's ordering all this stuff, and I order my entree, and I can't have a lot of red meat, but he says they're known for their steaks. He orders this giant porterhouse. He's like, oh, man, that looks really good. Like, he's like, you got to try some of this. He's like cutting his steak, throwing it on my plate. He's reaching onto my plate. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, we're eating together. Right? And it was so cool.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, do you want to try this? And you really want to, but you're going to say, no, I don't.
Right.
Like, so it brings me back, that first point, to the people you can do nothing with,
Mm-hmm.
where you just feel that you can ask anything, that you can do anything, even if it's not your thing. Can we stop here? I got to go here. What do you think about this?
Yeah.
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 That's so relaxing
Mm-hmm.
when you finally get that in your life. And that's a handful of people.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out why these days. Like, why is it this way with this person, but not this person? And is it? And so I think, well, it must be that person.
Right.
They must have this gift. And then I hear from them about other relationships in their life where they also can't do what we're doing. And I'm thinking, well, it's not me. I'm not the secret sauce here.
Right.
Again, I think it goes back to the relationship between the two of
Mm-hmm.
you. That thing that we can't see, that's everything.
Yes.
But both positively and negatively. And I think one of the things that I learned with so many people that does happen, the handful of people that happens with, I'm not afraid of myself when I'm with them, of anything that might come up.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a freedom, you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that's because you're just not aligned with everybody. It's not gonna be like that with everybody. Like,
No.
it's not meant to be like that with everybody.
Sure.
Which I've learned, because I wanted it to be like that with everybody, but then I realized, oh no, there really are like certain people you just gravitate towards just because of the energy that you have within you and who you are,
Yep.
and that is okay.
Yep.
Like, and then that gave me the clarity to understand that there's certain like different relationships with different people. Like, I can't make them all the same, because they're not. You know, whether it's, okay, yeah, bro, like, we're on the basketball team together, y'all my brothers, it might be different than a dude I meet outside of basketball. Yep. Where it's like, you know what I mean? It's just a different dynamic, you know what I mean? You have friends where it's jokes, like childhood friends, all that, and then you have other friends where, you know, it's like you guys are always getting deep.
Right.
You know what I mean? Always talking about some deep motivational, inspirational stuff. And I think it's just about understanding who you're with. And that's what love requires, is understanding the person in front of you and then curating the relationship based on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And don't try to control it. I think sometimes certain friends will say, all right, let's just go have fun. Right? We're not going to get deep. We're going to go have fun.
Yeah.
Jake and I went to Disneyland probably 2 years ago, around Labor Day. And I remember, like, we just had a blast. And one day we sat down and we were eating lunch. It was going to be a quick lunch.
Yeah.
Because we had other rides we were going to get on. And I'm just laughing thinking about this. So we're outside, like, eating at this, like, food table. And all of a sudden he asks a question. And we're, like, down this rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. It's a wrap.
With this deep conversation. All of a sudden this marching band, the Disney marching band, comes by on top of the building and starts playing the theme to Star Wars. Trumpets and brass everywhere. And I was like, wow, I'm like, now we have a soundtrack for our epic conversation, right? We were an hour and a half into this, and we're like, you know, we are in Disneyland. We should probably go back on those rides.
That's great.
But it just happens all the time.
Yeah.
You just can't help yourself but engage it, you know? And I think the other thing, too, sometimes is that we often wish that sometimes we think, well, I wish I could do this with that friend, rather than looking what that relationship provides. We don't usually do the flip of that and see, well, this relationship is this and that's really good. But sometimes when we're with somebody, we'll think, man, I wish I could do this with that person. But then all the relationships start to be more homogenous, you know. So that's really good. Just something to be mindful of.
Yeah, that's really good. And I wanted to go to the last thing before the present. Like, sometimes, like, I feel like sometimes those are like the best relationships. Like, people who you literally just want to be in their presence. Like, it's just chill. Like, yo, what are you doing? Nothing, bro. You want to chill? Yeah, what you trying to do? We'll figure it out when we chilling. But, like, let's just chill, you know? Because some people's, like, presence and energy that they have, like, it's so comforting. And sometimes that's all you need, is just to chill with somebody. You just need to be in that space. You know? So, yeah, that's a really good point. And then, there was another thing about that when you said, like, don't bring other relationships into a new relationship. Like, in a sense, like, that happens a lot with, like, relationships, like man and a woman, like, or intimate relationships. It could be anybody, but, like, a lot of people will be so attached to a relationship or a person that they had in the past, and they'll be looking for that same exact love or connection with somebody else, not understanding that that's a unique connection that you and that person have. Right. You know, and you don't realize how many other amazing connections you're blocking off by just searching for that. No, I need that again. You know, it has to be like that. Right. You know, it's like, nah, everybody different. Every connection is different. Embrace it for what it is, not for what you want it to be. Yes. You know? So.
And Zoom is great. Zoom and FaceTime are great, but they're not the same. What you said before, like just being in that same space. Like
oh,
not
no,
to do
you can't
anything.
do that with Zoom.
Yeah.
You could do that with FaceTime, though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I have friends who literally will just sit on FaceTime with their girl. They won't even be talking. It's just knowing that they're on the phone right there.
Yep.
So, all right, go to 2.
Number 2, all emotions are meant to be felt. Our emotions serve a purpose, even the ones we perceive as difficult or negative. For example, anxiety can help us be accountable when we want to accomplish a goal, and it gives us the push we need to keep moving forward. But if we don't keep our anxiety in check and let it take over the control panel, that is when it becomes problematic for our health and quality of life. We talk a lot about that. I think that duality of emotion.
Yes. Every single one.
Yeah.
Every single one. You cannot, do not be quick to judge the moment. Don't be quick to judge your emotions. Don't.
That's really good.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and this is from experience of like knowing that there were certain things I was like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. But then you realize, no, it's not. There's a whole nother side to it if you just reframe the way you look at it and feel it. A lot of times when you judge it, you don't feel it. You just judge it instead of just feeling it and let it tell you what it is. You know what I mean?
Right. It's interesting how some emotions you have to just sit in. Sometimes I know I feel helpless to sort it out. It's almost like a puddle after it rains. Like I just have to wait for it to evaporate. I can do different things. Sometimes if I'm worried about something, I can think about what I'm worried about and how I can get over that or push through it or engage it. But sometimes I think with like, it's like longing or she's in Inside Out too, nostalgia. There's like
I love
that
nostalgia.
feeling that I can't really do anything with. And yet in many ways nostalgia is like it's the Christmas in my mind that never really was but always will be. I'm sure it wasn't as rosy then as I'm thinking it is now.
Right.
That's what nostalgia's
that's so
tricky.
Real. It's so real.
She's slick.
That's so real. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it, so I'm speaking from actually nostalgic, but like, or nostalgia. That's so real. Like I have so many times where I'm reflecting on like past experiences with friends or just certain moments, and I get that feeling, and it's like you just sit in it. You can't do nothing with it. You can't go back, right? You can't recreate it. You just have to kind of just, wow.
That's where smart marketers know what they're doing especially around the holidays.
Oh, that's a really good point.
This retro ornaments or these people, they on TV, they might be selling a cheesecake, but the way they present it, the table, you don't think, but my mind does because marketers get me all the time.
Right.
If I just buy that cake, my table will look like this.
Wow.
And the family will gather around and it'll be this. None of that's true. They're just going to drop a cheesecake at your door and you're going to eat it. And nobody's going to come over because you're just going to eat it before they get there. Right? That's so the reality.
Good. Yeah.
But man, it's slick. I don't know if I've ever shared this story on air. Marketers work on me. One night I was watching an infomercial.
Okay.
And this lady, Kathy Mitchell is her name. Lots of infomercials if you look her up.
All right.
She had a whisk that you could fold flat and put in a drawer. And she's doing all these things with this whisk, making eggs, flipping hamburgers. The guy comes on to do the little 30-second, but wait, there's more. It's so nimble, it can pick up a dime. And they show it. I have the phone in my hand. I said to my wife, I'm going to order this. Like, we need this. And she came in from the kitchen and she goes, hold on. Got to answer me 2 questions. Number 1, are you going to cook? I was like, well, probably not. And she goes, do I ever put dimes in our food? I was like, no. She's like, then why do I need a whisk in the kitchen that can pick up a dime? Like, she sees right through it every time. And I don't.
Yo. That's funny, yo.
And
that's funny.
People know this about me. They're like, oh, here we go. The marketers are coming for Tom.
Yeah.
But I have
great.
even though I'm aware, that's a hard one for me to take action on.
It's tough.
It's really tough.
Oh man, that's good. That's so good. Going back to what you said about the emotions, Jim Carrey had said something to me that made me reframe depression when I was experiencing those emotions and feelings of depression for the first time. He said depression for him was like, my body does not want to be this character anymore. That's what it was telling him. I do not want to be this character anymore. Let me out. Let me free.
Wow.
And it was like, that's what I'm feeling. Because I had so much like inner conflict and angst, and I was like, what is this feeling of like, I just want to be in a cave or in a little box closed off. I don't want nobody around me. I have no motivation to do anything. Like, what is this? And I realized it was my soul crying out, saying, we're done with the old Zay. We're done with that old stuff. And I hadn't fully let go of those things. That's what was creating all that, all those feelings of like sorrow and depression and like helplessness and feeling so hopeless inside. It was because I was still deep down clinging on to that past version of myself that my body did not want to play anymore. It did not want to be that. And when I fully came to grips with that, that's when I started to have a little bit more peace. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna step into this new season, this new version of myself with an open mind, and I'm gonna let go of the things that aren't serving me anymore. And when you start to let go, that weight, that depression makes you feel starts to get a little lighter. Because that's what depression is. You're literally depressing something, pushing it down, keeping it. So figure out why that is, and when you finally let go of the things that are causing that, what's going to happen is that pressure is going to start releasing, and you're going to feel a lot better. And it takes time. It's a journey. Like it was a long, good 6-7 months where I had to go through and navigate all these things. But yeah, I would just challenge anybody to really like think about like, where is it coming from? Because so often my mom said that. She was like, there's a big difference between coping and overcoming. And it was so good because so many people, we cope.
Sure.
We cope. And coping has a negative connotation to it, because majority of the time we cope with things that aren't really helping us.
Right.
Drugs, alcohol, medication. Like, so you can be coping with medication. You're just depressing the feelings and emotions that you really need to be sitting with. And she had said that to me. And so the only way to overcome something is to sit with it and go through it.
Yep.
You can't go around it. You cannot escape it. You can't run from it. You can't mask it. You have to go through it. You have to face it. Me and you, we're here. And I'm not moving. And what's going to happen is those emotions, those feelings, they're going to fold, not you. But majority of the time they come up and we fold. So we go, cope. I don't want to deal with this no more.
Right.
So yeah,
but
that really helped me.
Some people don't have that anchor.
True.
I think that they need, like your mom.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, like when people say, all right, you got to go through this, but I'm going to be here. They better mean that, because otherwise it can be a cut and run. Or I'm going to help you through this, and then something comes up or you uncover something and like, oh, this is too real for me, or this is not, I didn't sign up for this, right? We hear that sometimes. It's sad, you know? Yeah, you do have to go through it, huh?
Dang.
So build your team.
Yeah, that's so real, because now looking back, it's like there was I feel like there were so many people in my life where it was just, nah, I ain't signed up for that.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not the Zay I signed up for. I ain't signed up for the hospital Zay. I ain't signed up for the mental health Zay, the mental illness Zay. I ain't signed up for that. So right. I can't do it. You know, and that joint do hurt. It really do. You know what I mean? But I don't take anything away from those people, because I think everybody's going through something.
Right.
You know, everybody has their own issues. And I always say, like, you know, make sure you really examine the whole situation, because yes, somebody might have abandoned you. That's what it feels like. And they might have I can't be around you no more. Sure. But really try to put yourself in their shoes. Yeah, like it might have been wrong, but that might be a lot for them to handle. And it might be doing something within them that they are not comfortable with. Like it might be showing them certain things about them that they aren't ready to deal with. So they can't be around you. Right. So that's not really a reflection of who you are. You know, just because they abandon you, no, it's okay.
and that they may have I don't want to I'm going to use this word, like they may have been in love with the version of you that they had built in their mind
Yes.
that wasn't really the reality.
Yes.
Or this picture that they had built in their mind.
Yes.
That wasn't the reality. And like a fallen superhero, when that happens, now they don't know what to do.
Yep. Oh man, that's so good. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
That is a great analogy. And that's life. Like we create these boxes, we create these perfect pictures in our mind for how everything or everyone in our life's supposed to be. And when it's not that, nah, it ain't gonna work. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be around that. That's not being open-minded. That's being closed-minded.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're only stunting your growth by doing that. You know what I mean? So that's a really, really good point. That is such a good point. Like, oh my gosh, yes. That's where so much hate in this world comes from is people having reality in a certain like fixed box, and anything or anyone that comes outside of that box, it's like, no, that's not right. That ain't it. Because they only understand what's in that box that they've created in their mind. And
Right.
There's a thing that says people fear what they don't understand. That's why I think, especially when we talk about like race and different things like that, a lot of it comes from just one person who's a certain color and another person not understanding that person or that culture. And so they are afraid of it. And because they're afraid of it, that emotion of fear navigates itself throughout their body, and it comes out as hate.
Right.
But deep down, they're scared. They're at fear because they don't understand this. You know what I mean? And
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Fear is usually absolutely
right, because you got to think of the things that people will do, like the lengths that people have gone because of these like ideas that they're so attached to about other people or stuff is wild.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it really is. It's like some deep-rooted stuff, and it really stems from fear.
And we make a narrative up in our heads
Mhm.
that we're comfortable with. You know, sometimes if you ever ask somebody, what did you 2 years in, 3 years in? All right, I got to ask you, like the first time that we met, like what did you really think?
Me?
No, I'm just as an example. Right? They'll tell you the truth
yeah.
now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll tell you a story. So my friend Jake, who I've talked
Yeah.
about, you know, in ROTC,
Right.
he had this hat with like a logo on it and just all beat up.
Okay.
So in my head over time, these are the things I knew. He was homeschooled. There were 4 kids. He's going through ROTC. He has a ratty hat.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, over time, I start to formulate, he doesn't have a lot of money. All right, so
Come
that's
from
why,
a
you know, ROTC is going to put him through school. You know, he can't afford a new hat, kind of thing.
Comes
right?
from a tough spot.
Right,
Place.
comes from a tough place.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take him out for dinner. We went out for dinner once, and he was driving this old beat up car.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned the whole story over time. Right, it was his sister's car, and he needed it to get back and forth to SU and Lemoyne for training because his first year he didn't have a car.
Mm.
So of course, like used car, free, right, cheap. So one day he had that hat on, and this was after I had met his family and all this stuff. And I just started laughing in the car. And he's like, what? I said, okay, it's confession time. I said, when I first met you, I thought you were poor. Now, this person, this is why I tell you this. He is so frugal with his money.
Mm.
He actually had money in the bank.
Like, he could go buy a new car.
Right? Yes.
Right.
Like, he's so in touch with, like, fiscally conservative.
Mm.
Studied this his whole life. Like, he's always been like that.
Okay.
So he starts laughing. And I know this now, like, how he is with money.
Right.
And we're just having this really funny moment.
Yep.
Because in my head, this was my narrative that I never fact-checked.
Mm.
But to me, it was so believable because I had all the data.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What appeared as data.
Yep.
You know, when I met his family at his house, I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not important, right?
Right,
So
right.
then I had things that I couldn't reconcile with one story versus the other. All right. And I think it's important when you're in relationship with people, like ask those questions, fact check that instead of building that narrative in your mind.
Right.
And we still laugh over that. He still has that hat.
That's so good. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
And what I learned, again, like, old Tom back then would not ever wear a hat like that.
Right.
New Tom of the last 5 years, to me, there's lots of stories in that hat.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
You got a
like my
connection.
Johnston and Murphy coat. Like,
Yeah.
the more I wash it, the more it looks worn. I'm like, there's a lot of life in this thing. A lot of stories that people have told me while I'm wearing this thing.
Mm.
That's what gives it meaning to me,
Mm.
more than like I could just go out and buy a new one.
Right. Right. That's so real. And that's really a good point, because I think we're human beings, so we're naturally gonna have assumptions about people.
Yep.
That's gonna happen. This goes back to the intentional living episode. Be intentional with fact checking yourself.
Right.
Be intentional with not allowing that assumption to dictate how you treat a person.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest that I my number one passion, like, is people. I'm analyzing all that stuff. I constantly have assumptions about people before I meet them, or, oh, is it gonna be? And I'm always combating it. Like, yeah, cool, you have that assumption, but how many times in the past have you had an assumption about somebody who was the exact opposite? So, boom, you know what I mean? It's just like this inner dialogue I have with myself. I feel an assumption come up, I'm like, that's fine, you could be there, but like, we're not gonna do anything with that. We're gonna really meet this person where they are and listen to them and really get to know them, instead of allowing that assumption to make me act a certain way or not even meet them at all.
Right.
Sometimes
those assumptions can be hurtful to the other person. I
Heck
just heard
yeah.
a story from a friend of mine.
Heck yeah.
She was talking to somebody, and they went upstairs, and they came back down and said they didn't know each other well, and said, "Oh, I was upstairs watching. I don't know if it was Wimbledon was on or watching tennis, but
yep.
you wouldn't understand." And this friend of mine said, "What makes you think I wouldn't understand?"
Yeah, it's wild.
Like, tennis is actually one of the sports that I do watch.
Right.
She said. She was really angry by that.
Uh-huh.
Because she was a woman and he was a man, that he would say that without just saying, do you ever watch tennis?
Oh, do you know about the Wimbledon?
Right.
Like, something like that. Like, ask them a question.
She's still mad about it.
Yeah, because that's kind of, that's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of messed up that happens a lot, though. Oh, you wouldn't understand it. It's like, well, you don't know what I would understand. Like,
Right.
Like, you don't know my whole life.
Find out.
Yeah. What are we on,
Number three?
Okay.
The way you speak to yourself matters.
Oh, man.
If you consistently put yourself down with thoughts like I'm not good enough, or criticize your efforts by saying that was stupid of me, you will eventually start to believe those things, even if they're not true. Conversely, if you speak well to yourself, like I did the best I could with what I knew then, and acknowledge your achievement by saying I'm proud of myself for trying something new, this positive self-talk will gradually become the voice that guides your emotions and actions. If you treated your friends the way you treat yourself most of the time, you wouldn't have any friends.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
That's so real.
Yeah.
You have to view yourself like your best friend.
Yep.
How would you treat your best friend? Treat yourself that way.
Right.
And there's a lot of things to unpack there. The first is, yes, self-talk is incredibly important. But it's not just about self-talk, because if your actions aren't aligned with what you're saying, you're never going to believe it. That's where a lot of people, they talk about, say, affirmations in the mirror. I am a believer in affirmations. I just think the only way affirmations will work is if you actually have actions to back it up. Because that's what true confidence is. It's keeping your word to yourself over a period of time. And now you're confident in what you say. All right, I'm going to wake up tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'm confident I'm going to do that because I've kept my word to myself before.
Sure.
Right? I am an abundant person. I am whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, I believe these things because I actually live it. Right? And I did go through a period of time where when I was saying them, I didn't fully believe it. But I was trying my best in my life to continue to put those actions in. And over time, you keep saying it and doing the actions, they start to coincide and you start to really live that out. Right. But a lot of people, I just don't want people falling into the trap of thinking that you could just say things and not change anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that happens a lot.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But it's so important what you say to yourself. Like, it's so important what you say to yourself. Like, if you keep telling yourself, I can't, I'm not good enough, oh, it won't work, that's exactly what you're going to get back in your life. It is what you're going to get back in your life, you know? But if you flip that, even if you don't believe it at first, just try it. Like, just force yourself to keep saying it every day.
Yep.
I am good enough. I can achieve my goals and my visions. I can. It will work, right? Like, I am enough. Like, these type of things, you keep saying it, and then go put the action out there. Your life will change.
Right.
You know?
And it means something to people when other people believe in them.
Yeah, it's everything.
I keep finding that to be
It's
true.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. But you have to believe in yourself first. To an extent.
Right.
To an extent.
Right.
To an extent. I'm going to let you take that.
No, I think it's interesting. If some people need, if they find out that someone else believes in them, then they will re-examine themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you get that number to maybe to like 5, then that person starts to reason that maybe there's some reason to believe in me too.
Come on.
You know? Yeah.
Oh, I just had it. Yeah, so that's another thing. Like, people can feel if you're confident too. Like, people can feel it. And we talk about it all the time. Like, since you've met me, I've been 100% confident that I'm going to do the things I say I'm going to do. Like, my visions, the things I've opened up to you about, like, I'm confident in that. And I've realized from that confidence, that's why I have so many people in my life that do believe in me. Because even if they didn't, I'd believe in me. And I'm so serious about that. You know what I mean? But I think people can feel, like, if you go to somebody and you try to tell them about something you want to do, but you're not really sure and you're not confident in it, they can feel that. Right. So yeah, they might say, yeah, you can go do it, man. But like, deep down, it's like, you got to believe in yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to, because if you don't, like, it's just going to be hard for people to really believe in you. Right. And then you'll come across a Tom or, you know, Dr. R or whatever it is, people that will speak life into you. But sometimes it's like that one don't outweigh the 20 people that don't believe in you, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's tough.
Yeah, I ask people sometimes, would you bet on you?
Come on. Yeah, that's real.
I get all kinds of answers to that. Because I'll get in the ring and fight with you.
Straight up.
But you got to get in there too.
Straight up.
Because this one's not about me. You know? So, yeah, would you bet on yourself when the chips are down?
And be real.
Yeah.
Be honest with that question. Like, don't just say yes because it sounds good.
Right.
Like, really sit yourself down. Would I really bet on myself?
Right.
And if the answer is no, it's okay.
It is okay.
It's okay.
And
yes.
Then what do you need?
Yes, exactly.
So that you would bet on yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Right? It's the whole I can't do this versus I can't do this alone. And that's okay.
Straight up.
There's just some things that we just shouldn't go through alone.
I can't don't mean I won't.
Right. Even the happiest person gets sad sometimes. Life is not always filled with joy. It's natural to feel sadness sometimes. Sometimes it is beneficial to have a positive outlook, but being too optimistic all the time can lead to toxic positivity, which is when you dismiss or invalidate real feelings of sadness or struggle, thus creating an unrealistic expectation to always be happy. I think this one is so...
That's number 4?
Number 4.
That's so...
I see this so often.
I did that in high school.
People reframe instantly. It's like a habit. And over time, it just wears out. You can only do that for so long.
That joint is crazy.
Yeah, tell me about that one. Go ahead.
This is where when I look back, this was probably one of my biggest reflection points when I was like really religious growing up. I'm about to sneeze.
God bless you.
Excuse me. Look at you. Look at me. Excuse me. So people would like really be like honest, or I would have certain feelings, or like people would really be struggling with certain things. We'd be talking, oh, no, you're fine. Give that to God. Don't worry about that. Like, come on. If you have a negative thought, You're doing something wrong. That's not. It should not be like that. You need to be positive. You got God in your life. You always be happy. You always be positive. I'm like, I look back. I'm like, bro, that was the most toxic thing you was doing. Like, it was horrible. It's not just let the guy go read the Bible, give it to God.
You know who had God in his life?
Who?
David.
You talking about David?
David, who wrote the Psalms.
In the Bible. Oh yeah. Okay.
There's 150 Psalms.
Yeah. Right. Wow.
I invite people that tell you that to go and read some of them.
Like
Psalm 6.
What does it say?
The like, my God, why have you abandoned me? Or these Psalms of lament and agony. Psalm 137 about being captive in Babylon. That's very different from Psalm 148 and 150, which are the praise in the heights, praise in the depths.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
What's interesting, if you read the Psalms, inevitably at the end, after the writer has poured out their heart and their suffering and their lament, comes but I trust in you.
Yes.
But it wasn't, I trust you, God, I'm not going to tell you any of this. Or I got this. You know? It was, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
we talked about this a couple episodes. Jesus in the garden, right? My God, let this cup pass from me. On the cross, why have you abandoned me? He quoted the Psalms. My God, why have you abandoned me? Right? He was God. He didn't say, no, all right, God, I'm good.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
Yeah,
you can still have feelings and you can still be sad and you can still doubt and be angry and frustrated and still be a believer.
Yes, and positive.
Yes.
Yeah, positivity isn't always acting happy and always having a smile. Positivity is a mindset.
Right.
It is a mindset. It's a state of being.
Yep.
Like, it's just the difference between seeing the glass half empty and the glass half full. That's
right.
what it is. And it's not dismissing anything. It's not acting happy when you're sad. No, that's not what it is. It's just understanding that everything you're going through, you're growing through. And everything is happening for you.
Right.
And you're a human being.
Right. I might know that you're going to be in my life for the rest of my life. I might know that. Mm-hmm. But if you move away, while I take comfort in one thing, it also doesn't mean I won't be sad.
Right. Right. Absolutely. My dog. Shout out to my man
That just
Aris.
makes me angry.
Yeah,
when I feel that.
Yeah. It's I think it comes from a place of I want to say neglecting like authenticity and like your real emotions.
Right.
When you try to act like, you can see right through people who are like putting on a facade of being happy and positive, you know?
Yes.
Like you can really see that. What time is it?
I want to so there's this song. I always thought this was so profound. Fred Rogers wrote this in 1970.
Mm-hmm.
For a child.
1970.
Right. And I hear this as an adult. What if I were very, very sad and all I did was smile? I wonder after a while what might become of my sadness. What if I were very, very angry and all I did was sit and never think about it? What might become of my anger? Where would it go and what would it do if I couldn't let it out? Maybe I'd fall, maybe get sick, or doubt. But what if I could know the truth and say just how I feel? I think I'd learn a lot that's real about freedom. I'm learning to sing a sad song when I'm sad. I'm learning to say I'm angry when I'm very mad. I'm learning to shout, I'm getting it out. I'm happy, learning exactly how I feel inside of me. I'm learning to know the truth. I'm learning to tell the truth. And discovering truth will make me free. Wrote that for a child. Right? But so often we squelch those emotions. We don't want to deal with them.
Right. So we act happy.
Right. But inside it eats us up. And we do start to doubt ourselves.
Yep.
But if you can just say it in that moment, if I walked in the door today, Isaiah, I'm having a rough day. I know we're gonna shoot. We're still gonna do this. I'm probably gonna be having a better day for having told you that when I leave than if I just kept it inside and say, hey, everything's great. Nothing's wrong. Yeah.
Like, the idea that, like, I realize that so many people think that life with God means you're going to be happy all the time. That's another thing, too. I think, like, it's like, I fell victim to this, too. It's like when you're a new, like,
Sure.
you're fresh to whatever religion you are, new to something. It's like you have that excitement and that, like, almost like that feeling that, like, you got to put everybody on now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, like, oh, man, I done found it, nothing's wrong, like, yada, yada, yada. And it's almost like you set this unrealistic expectation for yourself that this is how it's always going to be. It's like in a relationship, like that honeymoon phase where the emotions are incredibly high. Yep. Oh, if you think that's how the whole relationship is going to be, you're setting yourself up for failure. Right. It's the same with your relationship with God. Like, do not expect that to be easy and happy and positive all the time, because it will not be. Right? Like, there's a lot of things that come into your life, situations that are incredibly difficult to go through, and you're going to have feelings of sadness and grief and anger sometimes and frustration and confusion. God is still with you through all that. That's not being separate from God. If anything, that is what the relationship and the connection requires. Right. Because in order for you to continue to get built up and become the best version of yourself and unpack everything that God has placed within you, you do have to go through some struggle and some tough times and adversity and navigating all different types of emotions. Right? So if certain things come up and you're like, no, life with God, it needs to be always positive. Like, I shouldn't be feeling that way. I'm going to put that to the side. It's very toxic. It's toxic. Very dangerous. And I see it a lot. Like, I really do. And then those people, that's what those people will use with people who are actually struggling. Right. Like, oh no, just give it to God. Like, look at me. I'm always happy. I'm always good. It's because of God. Like, it's like, bro, so you never have a bad day? Right. You never in a bad, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying because, all right, let me preface all this because if you're around me enough, like 99.9999% of the time, I'm probably in a good mood. Yep. I'm a very positive guy. But like, I still take time to, like, navigate what I'm going through, if that makes sense. Sure. To be quite frank, I totally forgot where that thought was taking me. So, yep. Yeah, I'm just going to let that go.
Yeah.
I totally forgot where that was going.
I think when people grieve, grief only exists where love lived first. Yep. So if you were loved well and loved somebody well and they pass away, you're sad. There's grief. And I think sometimes people try to lessen that with those platitudes. Things you shouldn't say to people. Well, God only takes the young ones, or God only takes the good ones early, or like, don't do that. It's okay to be sad. And St. Paul, what he says is, don't grieve as those who have no hope. He doesn't say don't grieve. He says don't grieve as those who have no hope. So grieve. You can still be hopeful that they're in a better place, if that's what your faith tradition teaches you. I can know in my head that, okay, my faith teaches me that this person is in heaven. Mm-hmm. But my heart hasn't quite caught up with what it's like to do life on earth without them. And that's okay. It doesn't make you any less of a believer. Yeah.
Wow. That is very profound. Very profound. Let's
So
get to 5.
here's the last one.
Yeah, that one.
Good segue. Allow yourself to feel what you are feeling. When you're going through a difficult time or faced with an unexpected change, give yourself permission to slow down and process your emotions. Ask yourself what you need right now to feel better. Talk to close loved ones about what you're experiencing, and allow yourself to acknowledge that the situation you are in is tough. It's hard. At the same time, continue to move forward, giving yourself grace on days that you can't. Suppressing these emotions will benefit no one, and they will eventually manifest into physical or psychological symptoms.
That man is speaking. This is all the same person?
Yep, all the same person. Yeah, all the what they took away from Inside Out 2.
Wow. Oh, that's really good. Feel your feelings. I had somebody ask me that in a live. They said, how do I feel my feelings?
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I was kind of like, I've never really heard that question before, so it kind of like made me like have to really sit, because I don't like to, in my lives or when I get I don't just answer. I don't just to give y'all an answer. I'm gonna really think about the question, and sometimes I don't have an answer because I don't have all the answers. You know what I mean? Right. So that one got me. I was like, that's a really good question. Thank you for that, because it made me start to think, like, how do I feel my feelings? Like, how? And I think it just, like you said, it's kind of just pumping the brakes and on life a little bit, and you're just really literally just sitting.
Yep.
Like sitting, not being on your phone, not playing a game or watching TV. It's like sitting in it.
Right.
Like for me, a lot of times I feel my feelings on a drive. I like to just go for a drive. Sometimes I won't even play music. Sometimes I'll just play like something like low in the background, but I'll just I'll just sit in it and just like what is that? Like I'll talk to my emotions and my feelings like they're people.
Yep.
Like, what are you trying to tell me? Where's that coming from? Like, is there something going on? Like, what is it? And you'll be surprised how many times they answer.
Right.
You'll be surprised.
And Google one of those like emotion pictures or words for emotions.
Okay.
I think Facebook has made this really overly simplistic, right? We're either happy, sad, or angry.
Yeah, nah.
Right? Maybe you're elated. Maybe you're melancholy. Maybe you're anxious. Maybe you're catatonic, right? Like, see if you look at those pictures and those words, if you can find maybe what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you feel empty, or an absence of something, or a longing for something, or
come on.
But you see, I can't quite put my finger on it yet. Like, or something is just within your grasp, but still out of reach. Like, how do you find a word for that ambiguity of what you're feeling? And if you're feeling a bunch of things at once, that can be really hard to tease out what you're really feeling.
Right.
Because at the heart of what you're feeling, there's something. The feeling, remember, is there to alert you to something, like the barometer for a weather person.
Yep.
Let's peel that back.
Yep. You know how a car has a lot of different lights that come on if something's wrong?
Yep.
It's the same with our emotions. Like, you have so many different emotions that are like flickering to tell you there's something.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Some lights mean something very specific.
Right.
Windshield washer fluid is low. Battery problem.
Mm-hmm.
Your parking brake is on. But the worst is the check engine light.
Yeah, because you don't know what that is.
Right, and we got to run a bunch of diagnostics, they tell you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with us. Like, when that light is on for you, do some diagnostic work on yourself. And if you feel like being alone, if that's the place you're in, maybe sit there for a little bit, but don't stay there. Like, involve at least one other person in that feeling.
Yep.
To help you make sense of it.
Yes.
Because they'll have a perspective that isn't in the desolation of that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes one emotion can lead you to something else, if that makes sense. Like if let's say I don't know, the headlight light was on or something like that, and you go and fix the headlight, and then you realize there's another, like you lift up the hood and you see something in the engine that's also messed up. And you're like, whoa, hold up, now I got to fix the engine light and I got to do this.
Right.
That's the importance of, like you said, you've mentioned it, peeling back the onion.
Yep.
Like when you really sit with emotions, sometimes they'll bring you like the first thing that you think it is. Sometimes it's under that, and I've realized that too.
Yep. And sometimes, this happened to a friend of mine today.
Mm.
They had their car fixed, and they had to take it back
Mm.
today. Sometimes when you think you're done,
You're not.
you got to go back.
Yep.
You
You
got to
do.
go back.
You do. You do. Like you can't rush through this type of stuff.
Right. Right.
What you looking up? Why he got 6?
No. It was something that you had posted.
Oh, really?
Um,
By the way, I'm not on Instagram right now. Shout out to, I'm just letting my viewers know I'm taking a break from the Waggles Instagram.
I think it's important to constantly bring ourselves back to the moment and be honest about where we are and what we need.
Mm.
I think that is so hard for people to ask for what they need from other people.
Mm-hmm.
If that's where it takes you. Right? And I love to be honest about where we are and what we need.
Dang, I put that in the channel.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I thought about this. What would it be like if we actually claimed for the relationships in our life that we were showing up or being a good friend or being a good listener? What would be different? You know, if somebody tells you, well, you know, I was so glad you picked up the other night. Like, you really helped me by listening to me. You know, thanks for doing that. And then we say, oh, you do the same thing for me. What if we really owned that? And vice versa.
Mm.
Right? You know, I've been really working hard at listening deeply. So that was not, it was an honor to be in the mud with you. And it's one of the beauties of our friendship that we can do that with one another. Instead of diminishing the gift, which we so often do,
Mm-hmm.
to be humble, because we use that definition of that word wrong.
Right.
If we actually stepped into that and claimed that gift, what would be different?
A lot.
To ask for what you need. We still see that as such a sign of weakness. And yet, if it's something that I can fulfill on my own, I'll do it without even thinking about it.
Right.
Right? You know what I need right now? I need a root beer. I'm going to go get one, and nobody's going to know. Versus, you know what I really need right now? I really want to call so-and-so. So we might call them, but never say, I needed to talk to you. I'm just calling to check in. Right? Again, I'm doing the thing, but I'm not being honest. What would be different about that?
Absolutely. And that's why I think this is such a good dynamic that we have, because you speak a lot about relationships.
Right.
And I speak a lot about the relationship you have with yourself.
Uh-huh.
And it's a great balance because you need both in life.
Right.
You need both.
Right.
And that brings me to that point of like, for me, and it can go both ways. That's the beauty in this. But for me, it's like, if I never got to the point where I really would be honest with myself and really figure out what I needed from myself and gave myself that, um, like before I was actually doing that, it was always harder to really ask other people what I need from them,
Sure.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
But it's like I've built kind of that muscle within me to really like sit with myself and like give myself what I need, and knowing how beneficial it is. Um, I feel like it's just giving me the strength to, or the confidence to be like, hey, Ma, I just need to talk to you. Or, hey, Tom, can we just go get coffee? Yeah, I just really need to just chop it up with you. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
honestly. And like I said, it can go both ways, because sometimes you can get that from being around the right people and finding that, and then it can kind of turn inward. But for me, it's been the inward out for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah.
I think sometimes I wonder if I'm an anomaly sometimes with some of these things, because if I am your friend, then it can't be only when it's convenient for me. To be in relationship with someone demands sacrifice, I think. I struggle with that. Sometimes people will say, well, I never hear from this person, or this person's always, they're so busy. And I get that. But after a while, it just means you're not a priority in their life. But we never want to be that honest with ourselves.
Right.
You know? And to me, it's... I was going to get together with a friend once, and they said, oh, well, I can't do it on Thursday because that's my day off. I was like, what? Like, that hurt. I'm like, what are you talking about? This wasn't like an appointment.
Mm.
Right? I'm thinking, even better, it's your day off. I don't know. That makes me angry.
Yeah, and I've realized that about you. I think it's just because you really like value having real connections with people.
Yes.
You really like, and you really don't like having anything outside of that. Like, you want to have real, genuine connections with people. Like, you do, and I think we all do. But I think, I think, some people just are okay with not being like that connected to everybody, if that makes sense.
Sure. But yes, it doesn't have to be, right? Different relationships ebb and flow like that.
Mm.
Because I think, because I used to, I used to say this. I said this to my wife once. I said, I have 3 friends. I can't keep up with them. I don't need more.
Mm.
I look at that. I hear that now, and I'm like, man, that's like the Grinch, whose heart was just not big enough.
I think also it's I mean, I don't think real, like, I think about my life. Like, I don't reach out to all my really like connected friends all the time. Sometimes we go months.
Sure.
But like, when we are together, or if we do talk, quality, like intentional, present.
Yep.
When we make the most out of that time. And sometimes that I feel like, yeah, we're locked in. Like, I got bros like my boy Aris or my boy Kai, who Kai is in the UK right now because that's where he's from. Aris is from Greece. Like, they live over there. We haven't talked, like me and Kai, we talked like last week or a few days ago, but me and Aris haven't talked in a few months. That is my brother for life.
Absolutely.
There is no like, the connection hasn't dropped. It's just we haven't talked, but that's fine.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he doesn't feel like I'm neglecting him because I haven't hit him up in a few weeks, and vice versa.
Right.
Because life happens.
It does happen.
Yeah, life
that
happens.
That happened with my friend Scott the other day. Like, we were texting back and forth, and I was like, oh my gosh, we haven't talked in like 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And then our vacations were totally out of sync.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting on a plane the next day. The day he gets back, like, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man. And he just texted me. He said, I need to come and see you. And we know, like, that happens. But yeah, I think it's mostly if somebody, it's the hindsight. If somebody needs something, or you find out after
Right.
Or I do the same thing, like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry I didn't call and tell you, and then I don't know, it just
It does irk you.
like it does. It does.
I've
because
always realized that since I met you.
to be intentional,
Yeah.
sometimes it just means that it can't be when it's just convenient for me.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
That's the thing.
Very true.
That intentionality and convenience are often not neighbors.
It's not not at all.
That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
Yeah.
And I think even going back with your friend, I think him saying that's my day off isn't a reflection of you. Maybe he was just like, I just want to spend the day alone.
Right.
Like honestly, like I just honestly just want to chill on my day. I don't even want to get in the car and leave my house.
Yep.
Just
And
wanna
I've
chill.
had days like that.
Yeah, I just want to cool it.
Right.
You know, I had days like that. I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to meet with anybody today. Like, it's all love to y'all. It's just, I'm trying to be on my own peace today. You know what I mean? I just need to take time for me.
Right.
You know, and that's going back to taking a pause, bringing yourself back to your present, asking yourself what you need. Sometimes what you need is your own peace and your own presence. You don't need anybody else.
Yep.
In that moment. Other times it's like, yo, get out the house. Go be with somebody.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just get around somebody. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, so it's a really, really good point. Yeah. There was one thing that you really said that hit me was when we were talking about figuring out what you need, and I think the importance is this is where you have to be honest and real with yourself, right? Because certain emotions will come up or certain things will come up, and when you sit with them, don't like really sit with them and figure out what you need, not what your ego wants, if that makes sense. Right. And this is a prime example. This is where obviously I've had a lot of people ask me about lust.
Sure.
This is a prime example of like how lust can work and how I've seen it work in my life, right? I feel like for me, whether it was a certain habit or reaching out to a girl or whatever it was, a lot of it came, like, a lot of times it was because, like, I was just, like, a little bit anxious and I just wanted that feeling to go away. So I would just lean to lust because it just made the feeling go away right away. You know what I mean? And so when I really started to get clear with that, I was like, hold up. Like, when I really sit with myself and sit with these emotions and ask what I need, I would always feel that urge, lust. Go do this. Go watch that. You know what I mean? And it was a battle for some time of being like, bro, that's not what we need. It's not truly what we need. That's just what we're like programmed to go do when this emotion comes up. But that's not what we need. That's not what our soul needs. You know, like so you got to be very clear about what you actually need. You know, don't just be saying that just because, you know what I mean? Really figure out where it's coming from.
Right.
You know?
You and I talked about this a couple of years ago, I think, that
we've only known each other for 2.
Maybe a year.
If that, yeah. A full year now, yeah.
You may want something, but you don't need it.
Yes.
When talking with people that struggle with addiction, especially in college, with weed and alcohol, that sometimes over time they don't know who they are at a party or a social event without it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't realize their worth.
Yeah, that's so good.
And so I would say, like, okay, but over time, as I would see, I'm like, you may want that, but you don't need it.
Right.
If you just trust that you don't need it. You can fool a lot of people at a party. I know in college they're drinking beer, but you can fool a lot of people at a party walking around with a glass of tonic water and a lime in it without the gin. If you need to fit in.
You don't even need...
And you... Right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you don't... Right?
Yeah.
I want to get you to the point where you don't...
Right. You got to ease into
where
it.
you're comfortable saying, no, I'll just have a water tonight.
Yeah.
But I get the social pressure. It's very real. It's still real.
Yeah.
I'm watching this with a friend of mine right now. And not feeling like you have that you're not confident enough in yourself to order whatever you want on a menu. To have a drink, to not have a drink. Right? That if you're constantly thinking that people are judging you,
Oh my gosh, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
right? Then you're overthinking everything.
It's a wrap.
Should I wear sneakers or dress shoes? Should I need to wear a tie? Do I not need to wear a tie? And part of it is just because I'm older, right? The lens through which I see all this is
Right.
that I'm older,
Right.
and with a cancer diagnosis, I don't know. I don't know about time,
Mm-hmm.
so I do want to spend time with people
Absolutely.
and travel, and that's what I'm doing, and be intentional. So part of my probably what drives me now is that.
Absolutely.
You know, many people think, oh, and I was like, well, I'll put it off. We'll do it
True.
later, when I retire, right? And I had my talked to my pastor that I work for at church, and he said, Tom, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm front loading my life. So I'm traveling now, and he travels all the time. Well, my body can still do it, you know. And he said, so I would invite you to do the same. It was great advice,
Great advice.
you know.
Like, don't wait.
No,
You're not guaranteed tomorrow.
no,
Nobody is, but specifically, especially when you have something like that hovering over you
right.
at all times. Like, what do you mean wait till I retire? I don't have that yet.
Right, I might not get that.
Right. You know what I mean? Like,
This is reality.
It's reality.
You know? So, you know, when I texted Lisa on Wednesday, I'm like, what do you think about going to Chocolate World tomorrow? She was like, what? For the day? I'm like, yep, for the day.
I love it.
She's like, talk to the girls. So they're like, okay.
I love it.
Right? Maybe I wouldn't have, it's not the, like, I would have gone down for a few days. I'm like, it's a 3.5 hour trip. We'll do it.
But that's living.
Right.
Yeah, like,
Right.
that's what you...
I could have stayed home and played with the flowers and water and said, I got this chore and that thing to do. It didn't have to be done yesterday.
Yep.
When we were all home and nothing was on our calendar for a change.
Come on.
Today we're right back into the rhythm. I have stuff, they have stuff,
Yep.
she has stuff, right? That one day was totally clear. So that was as spontaneous as Tom gets. I
That's
think,
great,
you know?
though.
It wasn't day of. It was still the night before, so you could plan for it.
Right.
You know?
Right. But seriously, like, that is so true. Like, don't wait. Live now. And it's not like you got to do these crazy feats. You got to go rock climbing and then skydiving a day. And it's like, it's just like understanding that all you have is right now. Make the
Correct.
most out of now, and that's why I'm so dedicated to my purpose and my vision, and God's plan for us, because it's like what am I waiting for? Like, I'm not going to wait until I'm 35, 40, 45, then be like, okay, now I want to start living in my purpose.
Right.
Now I want to start doing the things that have been on my heart since I've been a kid. No, we're going to do it now. And if that means that I got to lose some friends or certain groups or certain habits, or maybe I'm not in these places right now, that's cool. That's sacrifice.
Right.
I'm willing to make.
Right.
Sometimes you got to put your purpose over the pleasure.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And what? I wanted to go back to the thing you said
Go ahead.
about the drinking.
Yeah.
Because when I really stopped drinking, I was like, I didn't go out. I'm not gonna lie, I did not go out much these last 2 years. Like, any of my teammates and people can tell you that. But when I did not drink.
Right.
And I was fully confident in the person that I was. And that's where a lot of people struggle.
That's the difference.
Yeah, it's like if you're not really confident in yourself, you're going to allow the opinions and judgments and perceptions of other people to dictate your actions.
Right.
I was like, I'm not drinking. All right, cool. And y'all know I don't drink, so don't come to me with the drink. And when you ask me, I'm going to say no. But it's love, though. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And over time, it's like, and then you realize people don't really care.
Right.
Like, people don't really care. If anything, they care, like, in the reason, like, dang, why is he having fun? Or why does he seem like he's chilling, he ain't drunk?
Isn't that sad?
Oh, nah, man.
I think that's sad.
That's a whole nother rabbit hole I
We
can go
don't
down.
know. We think, right, if you hear about a wedding, we got invited to, it's a dry wedding?
I'm out.
What?
And I'm not against it.
No,
Yeah, I'm not. But it's like, you don't need it. Like, for me, I felt like I didn't need it every single time.
Right.
Right? Like, if that's what you want to do, cool.
If you can make your own fun,
Yeah.
you have to make your own fun.
Yeah.
At work, at school, other things, right? Like, but does that have to be tied to one thing?
Right.
To alcohol?
Yeah, it is for a lot of people. Yeah. And I'm prefacing it as no judgment. I got people in my life that drink.
Yeah, right.
Like that's
but then right, sometimes you have people that feel like you're like, no, I don't drink. Like, then you shouldn't. I'm not telling you not to.
That's the key. Don't make people feel bad because they do it.
Right.
Like, I wasn't going in there like, look at me, I don't drink. If you drink, you're bad. No, I was just like, no, that's just not me. I hope that joint is amazing. Like, let's dance together, man. If I go get more drinks, I'll be out here waiting for you. You know what I mean? Like, it was never judgment. It was always just like, that's just not me.
I think there's something, I don't know why that is. But when I hear that, as opposed to if we're all ordering, you say, well, I'll have a root beer, and the person that I have a beer, to me that is different than when people say I don't drink. The reaction from, like, for me, when I hear that, I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't drink.
Right. Yeah. Don't be nah.
Which is
I would never say that too. I would usually just be like, oh no, I'm straight tonight.
Yep.
You know what I mean? No, I'm good. Yep. But then you do it every time, then they know you don't drink.
Right.
You know what I mean? And my teammates knew, like, when they would be at the crib, I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. I appreciate you.
And that's why I think, just like what we were talking about before, that you might want it, but you don't need it. If you're drinking, if you're drinking to numb something or fill a void,
come on,
that's where there's a problem. If I call you up and say, Isaiah, it's Friday night, I need to go like knock some back, you want to come? That's different than if I say, hey Isaiah, it's been a long week, I could use some company, can we go
grab a beer?
Go grab a beer?
Yeah.
The emphasis is, it's been a long week, I want to see you, I might have a beer on the second one. The first one is, I don't care who I'm with, I'm just going to get wasted, and you were the first guy on my speed dial.
Yeah, it's so real.
I don't really need to see you. Yeah. It's not about you. It's about the hops.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The second one is like, hey, let's go do something. And
oh, man. I just need somebody around while I get drunk. you know?
Like, slippery slope.
Yeah. But like you said, it's all like, it's all about the intention behind it. Like, if I go to, I'm going to be honest, if I go to Italy, like if I have a wife and we go to Italy and she want to go do wine testing, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I'll drink then. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, for me, it's like I won't say I drink because I don't, but like, if I do that, cool. That's a once in a blue moon situation. It's the same with anything. It's like, it's just about how you use these things. Like, these things aren't inherently bad. Now, if you want to get healthy, skelty, all that stuff, we can go there, because that's really what made me want to stop drinking alcohol. Was like, it joint is like literal poison. If you drink, it's okay. I got so many people in my life drink, smoke. There are people in my life that do that. But like, for me, like, I just take my health serious. So I'm like, okay, like, yeah, do I need it in this moment?
Right.
No. Like, there hasn't been one situation where I'm like, I need to drink.
Right.
Now, like I said, we go to a wine tasting brewery or something like that, or we go to a vineyard or a vineyard, whatever it's called.
Yep.
Hey, I'm with it. I will do it then.
Right.
Like, when I come over to your house and you got a box of cookies, Fred, I will have a cookie, please. Right.
It's
I
all
will
about,
have a cookie.
It's all about moderation.
It's all about an intention. You know what I mean? Because people use that moderation. Oh, it's all about moderation. 4 out of 7 days. Yeah. Whoa, that's not moderation at all. You're just like not doing a full week.
Sure.
But I didn't have 10 beers. I had 5.
Right. Yeah. For me, it's like the all or nothing. But when I do.
Yeah. Right. It's just knowing who you are and what works for you.
Right.
Like, I just know how my mind works and how I am. Like, I am so self-conscious about like how I look for me.
Sure.
Like, I promise you, it has nothing to do. I'm just like, I want to be healthy. I want to look good.
Right.
And that really stemmed from when I was like going through the low moments and I didn't like what I saw.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't ever want to see that again. So it's like, I'll never go back.
Right.
Right. And then wanting to get off of medication, I knew that one of the things I had to do was really start getting on my diet and putting the right nutrients in my body.
Right.
Because I was like, I'm never taking medication again. So that means I got to do that.
And if any of those things fill a void and they start to become out of control, that's when you have to look at it.
Come on.
If you're constantly filling a void or numbing something with alcohol or whatever the thing is, sometimes people will replace that with going to the gym.
Yes.
All right. Now, at first, that looks in society's eyes as a better choice, but if what's driving that is addictive behavior, that is also not good.
Right.
You're gonna over exercise. You're gonna hurt yourself. Right. It's all about the why. We know that. We talk about that.
And if you're starting there at the gym, at least you're at the gym rather than like drinking yourself away or doing
Correct.
drugs or stuff like that. And through that process, it can change into like I really love just going to the gym.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, because I think a lot of dudes like if you go into a breakup, I'm going to the gym.
Right.
I'm gonna go push this weight as hard as I can. You know what I mean? So yeah, that makes sense. I think it's just, yeah, you'd rather do that than the latter. You know what I mean? So
yeah, know what they are for you, and have people in your life where you can just talk about that with.
Yep.
You know, I will impulse buy things left and right all the time. My family knows that. My wife knows that. It is not good to ask me to go do the grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Because I might buy the stuff on the list.
Yeah.
And 10 more things.
Yeah.
Or I might forget about the list, come home with stuff and be like, we can't make a meal out of any of this, but look what I got.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Know yourself and invite other people into the mess of it.
Yeah, you got to know thyself. Know thyself. It's everything.
And find the humor in it.
Mm.
You know? If you can find the joy. Here we go. All right. You know? Thompson, Johnston, and Murphy. Here we go.
Nah,
Girls,
bro.
sit down. He's going to be a couple hours. Like, find the joy in whoever you are.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I just had a friend recently where we had just met and we got coffee twice. And both times, it's just how deep I get. And I just laugh at that. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't mean to always get philosophical on you and, like, be so deep, you know. But that's really just the way my mind works.
You can't help yourself.
I can't. But they're like, hey, I love it. It's all good. Like, we're chilling, you know. I'm realizing that's just you. That's just how your mind works. Yeah, it is. So.
Yep. That's how you can learn people's defaults, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If we're out with friends, if my wife goes 30 minutes without talking about Disney, temperature check, right? Like, you
that's
learn,
great,
like,
man,
what
you know that.
people's passions are.
Yeah, that's great.
You know?
Yeah, man, that's so good. Man, yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. Good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, well, yeah, that's
Good
gonna
week.
that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Leave a like if you enjoyed, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, take everything with a grain of salt. We will see you guys in the next episode. If you have anything, go ahead.
No, just, if you have feedback, questions, comments,
Oh, yeah, facts.
let us know
Yeah, word.
how we can help you and
Yes.
how you can help us.
Right.
Speak truth to our truth.
Amen to that. That's real. All right, y'all. See you guys.